Okay, so group A, this would be the group up to the front of the room, and this would be the group with John Kit. And group A, we have Kevin Devonish, Jamal Craig, Clyde Griffith, Joanne, this will be, I can't remember her last name, from the Department of Emergency Management. We also have Miss Gina Bell. We have Miguel Humphrey. We have from the insurance sector, Mr. Gonzalez, Michael Gonzalez, and we also have Jason Cadogan. All other participants will be in group B, which is the back of the room.
So we go right there?
Right in front here.
Yes, take a chair.
And bring your chairs with you as well.
I felt a little bit that we underperformed. I mean, if I listen to that group and they were almost having fist fights, then we were just So I quickly want to report back from this group. You see our artwork laid out on the ground. I don't mention all the different discussions around strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, etc. But I want to highlight 3 blue cards that we brought up, and actually there were more ideas for blue cards among the group, so I also encourage anyone to step out and explain other ideas for the way forward. But 3 things I want to mention is one, not necessarily on the aspect of disaster risk management for the renewable energy sector, but generally an issue around employment and the different the different processes to actually get approval for RE installations. So one suggestion could be to look at this streamlining the process and look at the potential for that. Then we had a debate around generally building codes about very important who is going to be the enforcement institutions within that. Not only looking at current structures or houses that are currently built, but also look at the existing housing stock and how this can be influenced. And then generally the aspect of country planning. So that is one other idea for way forward. And then we had good discussion around the different roles and also the potential for, I think the experience so far is that, for example, from an insurance perspective, that the actual consumers are not really fully tapping into the potential that different products could have, also for the deployment of different RE installations. And so we had a discussion around business interruption insurance, whether this could be a way forward. And relating to that, I think is generally as a way forward to increase the understanding of different potentials of financial risk management in a way for the renewable energy sector here at Barbados. So these are our 3 blue cards, and I would like to invite the group to add anything that you feel I missed from the group discussions. It's all good? We're all shy, we all well behaved, and we will fight. Yeah, that's good. So basically I would, I think, ask everyone to move over and
do the fist fight. Let's go to the fist fight.
So I think we were group B. I said I can't even disclaim them because I was the one who did the picking of the names. I think, but what was clear for me in terms of being in group B, I think although we had that robust discussion, I think we had a lot of similarities that we did differences actually. But what came to the table that was clear for me is depending on where you sit in the stakeholder model, your view of your matrix is very different. But the approach to get there was all very similar. So just in terms of mentioning some of these things, not going into too much details, For example, Bria was identified as a strength, and if appropriate systems aren't taken into place, which was the last input that came down, it could very well be seen as the organization being a witness in terms of the role that it has to play in terms of driving the sector. One of the discussions also focused around, I don't want to go into too much in terms of the utility, but the regulations surrounding that, I think, gives people is the conversation that needs to be had. And as a result of the lack of capacity in terms of some of our institutions, that is impacting in terms of how we view different stakeholders and how they operate, or how they should or should not operate, which is really that of the FTC, which came out, and that of some of the regulatory arms. So important coming out of this process was a lot of institutional strengthening that we found needed to take place, as well as capacity building. So just going straight into the blue cards in terms of some next steps. One of the next steps that we thought that could be facilitated was the introduction of mandatory insurance coverage, or the approach to get there. The insurance education was a big need, so we saw the need for the insurance sector, saying the insurance toolkit would be a good process in terms of bringing them up to scratch. And the last conversation that I had with my 2 insurance colleagues was that the discussion needs in terms of their education not to be too technical. So the insurance doesn't know about voltage. It needs to be very focused and centered and industry specific and industry centered when that toolkit is going to be designed, and how it is going to look at any other engagement on education with any other interrelated sector outside of the core energy engineering sector. Policy incentives were also an important next step that was covered and introduced by, I think, Sadima. And I think under those incentives, or the framework guiding that, would be a risk management and disaster strategy and policy. I think this is the overarching framework, that reference document that we all can go to in the advent of a disaster. How do I approach this? What are the next steps? Who are the players? Who do I interconnect with? And before moving forward. And then finally, I think not as much support for it, but it came from about 2 stakeholders. Private support for the Barbados Renewable Association in terms of increased capacity building. Again, I wouldn't use financial support because I don't think the majority agreement came from there, but the agreement was set in terms of recognizing the need to build some form of capacity strengthening for the association in terms of being an interconnected link throughout this entire process. So that was it for Group B.
I have something to say about Group B. They kept so much noise that they couldn't get anything done.
Group B, we have vibrant discussion. We have passionate people. Passionate people.
Water and electricity don't mix. Water with electricity, and I think going forward. But one of the things, though, Mr. Griffin, I want to mention is that I want to thank Bria, because I find Bria is the only entity right now that is really pushing back when the utility company makes claims, and Representative Misha is be sending out emails. Sometimes I think Misha is 3 or 4 people put together in one.
More than that, sir.
Or more than that. So and I really believe that Bria needs to be strengthened even more, because in the next 5 to 10 years, if Bria is not around, we are going to have market domination again by the utilities, so we need to...
So let's stop in terms of support for Bria, and we will reconvene just before we get into our closing remarks and in terms of next steps.
Well, good afternoon. I think you have all done my job for me. Just need to wrap up the program. I think we brought together some very bright and varied perspectives, but all with the same goals. And I think we had some commonalities in terms of where we need to go in terms of the next steps. I think a lot of them have been elucidated, and I'm not going to go through a long list of items that have already been presented by the group leaders. So I will just quickly hand over then to Clyde Griffith. Clyde, you're in the room somewhere? Yeah. Right, and Clyde will give you a vote of thanks. I know he has some comments. Clyde always has comments to make. Very positive comments, right, Clyde? But on my own behalf, thank you very much for the session. It was very illuminating, and it was very great to have such bright and intelligent individuals in the same room with different perspectives and what's not. So we heard some announcements as well from the authority and various things like that. Some good news. Well, that's not working. Okay, over to Clyde.
Now, I don't know why you think that I would come and just move over the thanks. I was a politician. And anytime you put a microphone in front of a politician, and not the present crop. But Mr. Rogers, you got to pay attention now, you and Mr. Hart.
I'm fully engaged.
Well, I'm speaking, so I need your undivided attention. But basically, I'll tell you from my own personal experience, this is one of the best workshops I've ever participated in. Educational, inspirational, and what it does is give us some perspectives of what we can do, especially in the Barbados Renewable Energy Association. Every time I see that we get involved in a career, you know, I see more potential for moving forward. For example, today, I'm satisfied that, you know, GIZ could have taken this workshop any place else in the region. I'll tell you, they would not have gotten as much out of it as they get when it comes to working with Priya. So I thank you, Mr. GIZ, and all of y'all who are participating, Sandra, and Matthias, and my friend here. I keep having a problem with your name.
Matthias.
Huh? Zunker. And Nicholas, who spoke with us. And I really think that with their participation, and I'll let you know a little secret, we spent a lot of time first in the office, led by Misha Clark. You know, we spent a lot of time, and with this young lady here, what's her name again?
Amelia Wiley.
Just came out of graduate school in England and planned to celebrate and do this stuff. So I feel very, very good. Some of the things that I noted as it relates to the workshop is that we in Britain need to look seriously at the strategic partnerships that Misha first addressed when she became the executive director in January. Strategic partnerships with the institutions in Barbados, all of them, and she keeps driving that into our heads, the Chinese monotonic function. Keep pounding it. And this session gives us the opportunity to say, okay, let's work with the Insurance Corporation of Barbados and do some things in the community that need to be done. Everybody knows that my mantra is about education, community education, if you want serious buy-in. And I'm satisfied that this forum provides us with an opportunity, you know, to network with those institutions that participate in this event and say, yes, we can work together to do some things that will reach the goal of educating the Barbadian public and indeed the Caribbean public, because we need to do that also from this base. So I feel good about it, and when I see that Bria is a strength in this whole analysis, I feel very, 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 very good. I heard somebody, we were here, the noise from the pit came down this side, and I heard mention made of the the need for real financing. Yes, we need finance. There are only two of us. I know this young lady is a very brilliant young lady who has a master's degree in energy, now has come on as a volunteer. And it makes us feel like we are 10 people. I must tell you, but we need that kind of relationship. And indeed, I want to propose that all of these organizations who are participating here sit down and talk to the Barbados Renewable Energy Association. And the only benefits that can accrue to Barbados, to the region, and to the renewable energy sector as we look at the whole issue of climate change. Don't listen to Donald Trump. You know, the issue of climate change is very, very important. If we ignore it now, I mean, we clearly can't, because we see what's happening in the region. And as somebody said, you know, when they miss Barbados, when the hurricanes miss Barbados, God is a Bajan. I want to know what will happen when they stop being a Bajan. You know, we got to worry about that. So we got to prepare ourselves, seriously prepare ourselves. And this workshop gives us the impetus to ensure that we get ourselves in line just in case the disaster comes. And don't feel that it ain't gonna come. Then I heard early last month that the hurricane season could be extended past November. I got scared, because we've seen the devastation and we know what can happen. So I wanted to say those few words. Of course, I'm always brave. I will die a brave person, let me tell you that. Okay? And I like what Bria is doing. But I want to give you thanks and congratulations for being here and spending the entire day with us. Of course, the program was very, very exciting, informative, educational, and helpful to all of us. Even, I'm sure, GIZ will walk away. I said GIZ or GIZ? GIZ. I'm American, see, so I would say GIZ. But we'll walk away from this feeling that we've accomplished a significant amount. And I want you all to appreciate that. We've done it. We've accomplished a lot today. And we want to be able to take this now and run with it across the country. So I'm also talking about GIZ, because we want them to come and say, we want to give you another contract. That would be very helpful to us. But we need to get the institutions in Barbados, whether it's government, whether they're private sector, whether they're community driven, whatever institutions they are, we need to get with them, and we want them to work with us, because we want to take this thing further. GIZ has just given us the first steps, and we want to take it further and further and further. And I want to congratulate the GIZ team for the work that they have done in this regard. So give them a round of applause. I want to congratulate you for being with us. Because when you look at the content, a lot of people, one or two people had to leave. But when you look at what we had presented to us today from this team, you've got to know that people want to stay because they learned something. I learned a lot. I thought it was past learning, but I learned a lot. Okay? And we want to congratulate you, so give yourselves a hearty round of applause, please. I want to thank Hallam Hope. He's our in-house moderator now, because he's an expert. And he knows what he's doing. I must say, the older he gets, the better he gets, the better he is. So Hallam, we want to thank you for the work you've done. I want to thank this young, I just met her a few days ago, and I'm impressed with the work that she's done within the organization already, helping us to get this ready for your benefit. And I always want to congratulate my boss. You hear me say that she's my boss? She really is my boss. I went and begged her to come and take this job, and she's taken over, and she's done a fantastic job. Some Saturdays she's there working, some nights, and I said, we should go home. I want to go home, you go home now. And she's exceptionally sharp, focused and brilliant. And she's providing the leadership that we need in this particular environment to this day. So I want to to really thank her by giving her a round of applause. We're going to thank Marriott. Do we have to? The food was late, but we still couldn't accept that they prepared it, they fed us, even though they made sure that they got their money before they fed us. Understand that? Made sure that we gave them the check before they fed us. So we still got to thank them. I want to thank Rodney, our in-house man. Thank him for he's recording all this for our website. We got to thank him. Who else I got to thank? I don't need to be thanked. I'll always be here and supporting the organization and supporting my boss mission. But I want the participants, I want the GIZ people to know that we wish them well on their journey. We can have some feedback, where we can have a resource chat and more to see where we have made mistakes. That's particularly important to review, because we are trying to strive for something called perfection in the delivery of these workshops. If we can get there, my God, the world is our oyster. We'll get past the Germans when it comes to renewable energy. And that's not easy. So I want to thank you once again. I want to really particularly thank the BRIA team, thank the GIZ team. Thank you for participating. And we hope that you participants know that we are coming after you. We got a team coming after you to make sure that you work with us in the future. Thank you very much.
And talking about coming after you, if by any chance one you might have omitted to sign your sign-in form, kindly let's have the form so we can have a record of your attendance. Thanks. Travel safely.